What are the best lessons we can learn from kids? That's the question we're asking today on The Art of Lifing with Keka. Okay, so I know that I'm supposed to be the mom, and therefore I suppose I should be knowing all the answers when it comes to my kids. But I do have to share with you today 6 really important lessons that I have learned from my kids, and actually that I keep learning from my kids in watching them and how they live their lives. So let's start with number 1. Learning to love me for me. Have you ever had that where your kids come to you? I know that when my kids come to me and give me a big hug and a kiss and we talk about our day, or we just go out and play, they don't care if I've gained some weight in the last little bit. They don't care if I've got grays coming into my hair and I haven't had time to color it. They don't care about the scars that I might have. They don't care about any of that. They just love me and want me for me. And so as adults, so often we are so aware of our flaws and the things that we want to change about ourselves, or the things we want to improve or fix, that we tend to judge ourselves and love ourselves through that lens. So anytime I find myself getting a little bit judgy about myself, I think about my 2 little boys with their beautiful little innocent eyes looking up at me and just loving me for me. And suddenly the stretch marks don't matter, the weight gain doesn't matter, any of the other things that I often tell myself that I don't like about myself don't matter. And so I have to learn to really love me for me the way that my kids love me. Number 2, being present and living in the moment. Have you ever watched kids when they're playing in the playground or they're just out with their friends? They are in that moment. They don't care what's happened beforehand. They don't worry about what's happening in the future. They are really in it to enjoy it for the moment. I watch that with my kids all the time when they're out with their friends, and you just see the joy in their faces. They're in that moment for the day. And all too often I find myself sitting in a meeting or going out and watching a movie or doing something with my friends, and suddenly I'm not present. I'm thinking about what I've got to do tomorrow and what's on my to-do list, or what happened the other day, and I'm still processing something from the other day that I keep thinking about, but I'm not always here. I'm going into the past, I'm going into the future, and I'm not staying present in the moment. And so when I find myself doing that, I always try to recalibrate and remind myself that if my kids in their little minds can stay with their attention span in the present moment, I have no excuse. I've got to do the same thing. Number 3, to constantly be in discovery mode. Do you watch that with kids? Of course, they're learning life, they're discovering everything around them, but they are constantly exploring the world around them. They are explorers every single day. But how many of us as adults lose that explorer within us? We tend to be familiar with the environment that we're in, we get into a regular routine, and suddenly we stop discovering. And so when I watch my kids going out and exploring all kinds of things and looking at things in brand new ways, they'll go into the same playground or look at their toys that they've been playing with all the time and suddenly see it from a different angle. And then it makes me think that when I'm going in and working, or I am making a recipe at home, or anything at all, when I'm doing something, I tend to fall into that routine. But there is so much around us in this world that we can discover, whether it's the things that are right under our noses or things we've never explored before. And so being in that discovery mode is just going to liven up our lives in such a bright way and have such a massive impact on us. So let's constantly be that explorer. Let's rediscover that explorer in us and be in constant discovery mode around us. Number 4. This is about constantly challenging ourselves. If you watch kids, what they will often do, and I know I see this with my kids all the time, they try to do something a little bit different or something a little bit better. They're going to try to explore their own limits and their own boundaries and expand them. You know, my little one was at a playground the other day. My older one was playing baseball, and I was watching him play in the playground, and I thought it was really cool. You know, he's been to this park over and over again, but I hear him as he goes down the slide. Okay, next time I'm going to try to go up backwards. And then he does that, then he comes back, okay, this time I'm going to try to run up the slide. Then he gets into this whole obstacle course. I'm going to run from the swing to the slide, then I'm going to go backwards from here, I'm going to turn upside down, and he's giving himself his own challenges. Well, we as adults, get tired. We don't have the same energy as kids for sure, but we also don't necessarily give ourselves those challenges where we can push our own boundaries. And so watching my little boy in that playground that day, really watching him explore and push himself to new heights made me think, in anything and everything I do, I've got to try to keep pushing myself as well. It's the only way that we're going to grow. Number 5. Let's play. I think that's probably something that our kids do the best, right? They know how to play. They can walk into any playground and make friends with another kid there, and then they just get playing and putting on their imagination and having fun. Well, if I asked you, when was the last time that you really went out and played on your own terms, in whatever way possible? I know for me, I really have to think about it, and the answer doesn't come so easily. I've kind of got to go down memory lane. When was the last time that I really went out and played? For me, playing is often going to an art museum, going to a gallery, maybe even trying to paint, even though I'm not a great painter, but trying to paint myself and on a canvas and creating something new. Sometimes it could just be going for a walk out in the park and experiencing nature. But those are the types of things where we can just let loose and have fun. And we don't always make time for that. I know that in this day and age with our kids constantly being on the screen, it's a constant balance for me to give my kids exposure to technology, but then also to step away from that and just have some good old fun time playing. And I always tell them, listen, my job is to work and to take care of you guys. Your job is to play. But at the end of the day, even for adults, I think it's important that we make part of our job, at least, to play for ourselves and bring back that childlike spirit to really have a better life and do life on purpose. Last but not least, number 6 is that we can shine as ourselves. If you look at really young children, before we put too many other thoughts and rules into their minds, they show up as themselves everywhere they go, all the time. And they are really in touch with who they are themselves. Well, I think that as adults, as we grow older, we take on other people's rules, other people's definitions of how we should be. We get tired, we get stressed, and sometimes we forget that there is a light inside of ourselves ready to shine, and where we can really be ourselves. And when we are ourselves to the core, that is when we can have the best relationships with people and we can be the happiest we can be. So when I see my kids showing up as who they are with no other qualms, but it's like, hello world, this is me, it's a great lesson for me to remember I need to shine as well. These are the 6 lessons that my kids have taught me, and it's something that they remind me every single day. It's all part of doing life on purpose and really mastering the art of lifing. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please like it. And if you know someone who you think would like to see something like this as well, please share the video. If you want to see more content like this, subscribe to my channel. I put out new videos every week on Tuesdays.